So this is what our app looks like from last time. It's called Melange. I actually just looked up how to pronounce this word, and apparently it's mélange. We have a search form on the top, and we have our list of planets with the names and the cuisines listed. In this video, we're going to implement reviews so we can review our planets. We need to be able to click into each planet and then view each planet on its own. So we're going to implement some routing there. But first, let's create our reviews table. Go to Hasura, go to the data tab, and we're going to create a new table called reviews. It's going to have ID, UUID, gen random UUID. We've done this all before. It's going to have, let's say, body and text, type text. And then every review is going to belong to a planet. So we're going to want a planet ID to create that relationship. And that will be referring to the planets table. So the planet IDs there have type UUID. So we will note that here also. The primary key will be ID. The foreign key will be to create that relationship where one planet has many reviews. So it will be a one-to-many relationship. So the reference table will be planets. And the planet ID in this table will have to match the ID from the planets table. So that's what we're saying here. And we'll save this. And we can now add our table. So now that we have the foreign key, we can actually go to relationships, and it's suggesting this object relationship. And then in planets relationships, it's suggesting an array relationship because one planet has many reviews. As a shortcut, so you can either add from here, or you can go to the data tab and just track all right here. And this will add the foreign keys as relationships in the GraphQL schema. So that's what we're doing right now. And we just created that relationship. So now if you go to graphical, you can actually see that planets have reviews. And reviews have a planet. So each review belongs to a planet. Let's go ahead and add some reviews to see what this is going to look like. So going to reviews, let's insert a row. Actually, let's go to planets first and copy the ID. So let's start with a negative review because we're grumpy people. We're going to go to reviews. We're going to say insert row, and the planet ID will be what we copied. And I totally copied an evil planet ID, so we can leave a grumpy review. Let's say the waiter was so rude. Okay, we can save this one. And we now have a review belonging to the evil planet. So if we go to graphical now and so let's just start from scratch here. Let's say planets, name, reviews, body. Okay, we have unexpected variables. This is from video 1. Let's delete that. Okay, now try again. As we can see, Giedi Prime now has one review. So we have our relationships all set up. We can move on to the next step. So right now in our app, when we click on each planet, nothing happens. So we want to set up some routing so that we're taken to the planet page. So going back to our code, let's import the routing stuff in here. We got browser router, switch and route right here. Let's wrap our entire app in browser router. Instead of this planet search, I'm gonna add a switch where if the route is the root route, it renders planet search. Otherwise, if it is planet / the ID of the planet, we're gonna render a new component called planet. So let's add that new component right now. First, I'm gonna import it and pretend that it already exists. There we go. And here's our new planet.js with the empty query string. Let's go ahead and get this from Hasura. We want to get a planet by its ID, and the PK here means primary key. So we want to get the planet by its primary key because it's the ID. Let me get this ID here from when I ran this before when you weren't looking. So this is the ID for Giedi Prime. So I'm just going to plug this into here. I'm going to get the ID, name, cuisine, and the reviews, the ID and the body on the reviews. There we go. We have our review on Guia Prime. Now all we need to do is convert this to a variable so we can use it in our code. So this will be our planet query with, we'll say ID is the variable, which will be type UUID, and we'll make it required. And we'll just change this string to be that variable name. And we can test this out again right here. ID is gonna be this one. And when we run this, we should get the same results. Yep, so this is the query that we want. Let's go ahead and copy this. And going back to our code, we will paste that in here. So this will be our query to get a planet by its ID. You can see I'm importing things that you've seen before, the use query, GQL, and some styling for lists. I'm just gonna use the list component that we created earlier to list the reviews. And then down here, we have the props coming into the planet component. This is because we're using React Router. We get a match prop, which is the match on the ID in the params. Because back in our routes, we said that we would have an ID passed in. So that's how it knows that there will be an ID there. That's what this is about. Here, this is again stuff that you've seen before. We're using use query and passing in our planet query with our ID variable. Up here is taking in our ID variable. That's where that's going. And it's showing loading and error states. And then once it gets the data back, we can see in Hasura that it's data.planetsbypk. That's how we know that that's what we're getting back. And then inside the render, we actually have an H3 with the name and the cuisine. And then we have our familiar list component. We're mapping each review onto a list item with review.body rendered inside it. So let's see what this looks like. Right now we don't have any links, but we can actually enter in our URL manually. We'll do planet / our ID. This is what the planet page looks like. So what we want to do now is actually add links to these so that we can be taken to the planet page without having to type it in. Inside planets.js, we want to import link from React Router DOM because we're going to add links. I'm also going to change this to list item with link, which is some new styles that I added. You can get those from the repo. And finally, let's replace this name badge with our new list item with the link inside of it, linking to planet / the ID, and the rest of it is pretty much the same. There's a couple other style tweaks that I added also, so make sure to get those from the repo if you're coding along. So now let's see what's happening in our app. Going back to Chrome, and now when we hover over each planet, it's clickable, and when we click on our evil planet, we're taken to its very own page, and we can see the review listed here. We have the reviews displayed in our UI. All we need to do is have them be live. So we're gonna set up subscriptions now. Subscriptions are super easy with Hasura. All you have to do is change this to say subscription, and voila, it is live. What we can do now is change this data, and then we're gonna see it change. So let's open the data tab in a new tab and pull it out here. There we go. And then let's go to reviews, and we're gonna add a new review. Let's get our evil ID. I waited in line for 6 hours and it wasn't even worth it. Now, when I hit save, keep an eye on this here to make sure you catch the update. So I'm hitting save. And there we go, we got our live update. Let's go ahead and make the same change in our code. Let's change this to subscription, and then we'll say use subscription, and then down here also use subscription. We also need to tweak Apollo to tell it that we want to use subscriptions. I've tweaked index.js to enable Apollo with WebSockets. Here I'm importing some new libraries like this split function, and I think the rest is pretty much the same. Oh, and then we have get main definition and WebSocket link from also Apollo. Down here we have our HTTP link, which was there before. And we have WebSocket link, which is new, which is basically our same endpoint except with the WS protocol. And then we have split link, which is for telling our app to use a WebSocket link for subscriptions and an HTTP link for queries and mutations. And down here, I'm passing the split link into the link when I'm creating the client. You can find this information in the Apollo docs if you want to copy paste these functions, or in the repo for this project. Let's move this string into a constant, like this. We also need to actually install these new libraries. So let's go to our terminal and go ahead and install some libraries from Apollo that are going to help us with subscriptions. There we go. Let's go check out our app now. Here is the Getty Prime page showing the current reviews. Let's add a new review and see if it shows up live. This person actually liked something, so that's nice. Loved the apocalyptic ambiance. Heart. Let's first go to insert row because we're in edit row right now. There we go. Now, when I hit save, it's going to show up down here, so watch out for that one. There it is. We have live reviews. So that's it for part 2 of our Yelp clone tutorial. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to add a form for actually submitting a review. So we'll use mutations for that. If you have any feature requests for the next video, just leave a comment, and I'll see you on the flip side.